What good careers are in need of applicants due to an aging workforce and little knowledge of the need among the younger generations? Land surveying, judging by the last 3 places my friend has worked at each of them he's like the only person under 50, and they are all awful with technology. I mean, they don't trust Excel to sum up a column of numbers using sum. They can't copy files to a flash drive. Basic computer stuff like that. Surveyors need to be GIS kids these days. Plus, GIS has made their job simultaneously much easier and much more involved. Draftsman in the construction industry. Basic knowledge of CAD and construction techniques and you can get a high-paying job at a metal or millwork fabricator doing shop drawings. No need for an engineering or architect degree. Every company I know is undermanned and those draftsmen are typically over 50. A lot of community colleges offer a course for being a draftsman construction management. It's pretty inexpensive to get your foot in the door. The hard part is finding a place that pays well and is willing to grow. Hence why a lot of people get engineering degrees or design degrees, as there is a path for growth. Lots of people mentioning trade work, but specifically, anything related to utilities, electric, water, gas. I work in that field. I'm 35, and I'm so young compared to virtually everybody else that it's downright uncomfortable most of the time. And like, these things need to continue existing and being maintained. But I'm not seeing the next generation taking over. I work in utilities. The entire workforce is grey. I've also been eating crap pay, crap hours, and zero benefits for 2 whole years waiting for somebody to retire or die or something so I can get a real job. Still hasn't happened. They might be dinosaurs but they jealously guard their cushy public sector jobs and don't leave until that nest is good and padded. Collision repair techs. Everybody wants to be a painter. They grow on trees. It's easier and pays more. It's hard to find a good tech nowadays. At least in my area anyway. CNC tooling. CNC programming. Aircraft contracting. I know of a few contractors making well over 100 per hour and hitting 60 hours weeks. Heading to a trade school seminar for this in a couple hours. Everyone I've talked to says that not only is it that there aren't a lot of young people going into it, but a lot of old timers are refusing to adapt to technology. With CNC machines, you can get rid of multiple machinist jobs so companies love them, but most machinists are too old or stubborn to learn to work them. In the US at least, OB-GYNs, about 1/3 of currently practicing OB-GYNs are 55 or older, and as they retire there aren't enough younger docs to replace them, which is leading to a major shortage, especially in rural areas. It's estimated that about half of the counties in the United States have 0 OB-GYNs practicing currently, and it's anticipated to get worse over the next couple of years. While the pay is good compared to non-doctor pay, it does not pay well compared to other medical specialties and the hours can be terrible. Medical lab technologist. These are the people that perform all the tests that doctors order. My friend is a clinical laboratory scientist in a large metropolitan area and he said hospitals are desperate to find more young people to hire. One of the drawbacks though is that this is a job that works around the clock, so a lot of opportunities are for the night shift. You do get paid a hefty amount more though if you don't mind working those hours. Want to know why crap is dying? Cause no one wants to train anyone or take on inexperienced people. School psychologists have been stable at roughly a 40% shortage of professionals since the 1960s. It only takes 3 years of grad school. The 3rd year is an internship in which you can expect to make around $50,000. Once you get a license from a NASP accredited program, throw a dart at a map of the US and you can find openings. The national average salary is $70,000, plus all breaks and summers are off. We desperately need more people in the field. Every school is intended to have their own school psych, but due to shortages many of us work at co-ops that serve a number of districts and may serve as many as 4 or 5 different schools, so no shortage of opportunities. For more information look us up at nasponline.org. As an example of the desperation, my class of 9 is about to take our first jobs and we literally have reps from cooperatives and school districts coming into our classes to offer $70,000 internships. They've all ended their speeches with "We need at least one of you, but we want 2 or more if we can convince you." The jobs are out there. Medical laboratory science. It is one of the allied health fields involved in the overall patient care experience. It is an invisible career in that most lay people have no idea that the medical lab is a real place with real people analyzing the blood and body fluids of patients to help determine what is wrong with them. To a patient, the lab is the person who draws their blood, and then the doctor comes in with the lab results on their clipboard, and that's it. Once the blood is taken from your arm or you pee in a cup at the doctor's office, the specimen gets sent to the lab. Well, that's us. A combination of state-of-the-art instrumentation and technology combined with old-fashioned manual procedures like looking at smears of blood under a microscope. The results we generate tells the doctor if you had a heart attack, are septic, have blood cancer like leukemia, are diabetic, have Lyme disease or strep throat, among many other things. We learn about diseases and their symptoms and how to interpret the results we get from your blood to make sure your doctor gets accurate results to help diagnose you. 70% of information a doctor uses to give you a diagnosis comes from laboratory data. The field is aging. Large groups of employees are retiring, and there is very little drive for students to go into programs for this. Nursing programs are so well known, rightfully so, that many people don't know all the other people involved in your hospital stay you never see, like radiology and respiratory therapy. Many places in the country don't even have programs in college to teach lab science, and national certification and licensure is required to be in the field. We sit for exams just like nurses. Nuclear engineers, reactor operators, etc. Everyone is old and in need of replacing as a new generation of reactors comes online. Please come work for USPS. We're super understaffed. Most employees are going to be eligible for retirement within the next couple years, and it beats the heck out of any other job I've ever had. I make $22 an hour to be a cashier. I have really good health insurance, mediocre dental that's still better than anywhere else I've found, and a kick-butt retirement account. I'm not going to be leaving the USPS until I can cash in that sweet pension money. Pilots, aviation mechanics, air traffic controllers. The industry is desperate. The aviation industry isn't helping itself by keeping the price of the courses required to become a commercial pilot up at a staggering amount. It's simply too expensive for the average person to find it worth investing in. Technical glass blowing. All kinds of researchers need this, but the number for people that can do it is very small. The last guy we had at my university to do this made over $80K. My favorite part of being in the UNL science building was watching their glassmaker blow glass. He made it look so beautiful and effortless to make things for the labs. I love it when art and technical skills collide. Calibration technicians. If you know what a torque wrench and multimeter are and know how to use them, you're halfway in the door already. All the real good jobs are on military installations, but I was pulling $30 an hour at a medical company doing calibrations for them. When I was a young soldier just starting out, I know that there was some guy in the unit named Toby that did all of our higher level maintenance. Good old Toby Hanna, always reliable. I have since learned how dumb I was. Social work, but we just don't make masochists like we used to. Commercial print marketing. People think it's a dying industry. Big commercial packaging. Think candy bar wrappers, cereal boxes, the cardboard tag package for literally any product, direct mail, flyers, coupons, etc. and marketing collateral, printed shirts, cups, pens, flash drives, and point of purchase displays, big box store signage, marketing displays, cardboard pop-ups, and random stuff like car and building wraps are all exploding. Sure, certain sectors of print are dying, like publication printing, for magazines and newspapers and such, but it's still one of the 5 largest markets in the world, 3rd largest when I was in school, but not sure now. The average age of an operations rep is 55 and average age of sales rep is 57. People are aging out fast and the big print companies are desperate for young talent, both on the blue collar side of production and the white collar side of management, logistics, analytics, and graphics. I used to have some guy friends who worked in print. They used to brag that they would pretty much be employed for life because his position was in such high demand. Printed circuit board designer. During the 90s those jobs mostly got outsourced to places like India, Singapore and the Philippines. The problem is you really need at least a couple of PCB designers locally to coordinate with the offshore teams, and a lot of the people in those positions are getting close to retirement age. The care industry is in desperate need for employees. However, the typical industry perceives carers as unskilled and lazy, and care is a last resort for those who can't do anything else. These people are caring for people at the final stage of their lives, usually. In other societies this is such an important role, but people turn their nose up at it, and carers are looked down on and severely underpaid and undervalued. Yes, there is technology that can help, but it can never replace the desperately needed human contact people crave when they rarely see someone else for days at a time. You're spot on. If you get a basic qualification, you'll never be unemployed. Problem is, conditions and pay are crap. COBOL programmers. Okay, so it's not necessarily a good career, but there are still lots of old, reliable systems out there running on COBOL and Fortran and the likes. We even still have some RPG programs on our mainframe. There's a big need, and almost everyone who worked with it back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s is retired by now. Amazingly, lawyer. Not in cities. The market in urban centers is pretty much flooded. But in smaller towns and cities, think under 200k people, there is a desperate need for lawyers. Where I live, there are dozens of lawyers who are hanging on past retirement because they can't find anyone to fill their shoes. The problem is, new lawyers tend to only look for job postings online, and old lawyers' small firms don't tend to post online. So this is second hand, but according to one of my former co-workers, an engineer who went off to law school, patent lawyers in particular are in high demand. The problem, apparently, is that a good patent lawyer needs to have some technical background in addition to knowing the law, so there's a lack of them. IRS jobs. The number of people who have one of these under 50 is extremely low. Spend a few minutes scrolling through this thread and you'll notice that dang near every skilled career out there has the same problem. Baby boomers hold all the senior positions and they are retiring, dying at a rapid pace. For Gen X and millennials, your time has come. It's time to seize the day. Baby boomers hold all the senior positions and they are retiring, dying at a rapid pace. The problem is baby boomers hold all the senior positions and continue to hold them forever until the fricking sun burns out. Manufacturing and industrial for sure. I am a recruiter for skilled manufacturing and there's a big skills gap. A lot of plants in my area are having difficulties replacing retirees with younger workers because the skills just aren't there. Luckily, a lot of companies are opening up a little to the idea of some training, which costs money, which lowers starting wages. So that has some downsides too. So we either have extremely experienced older candidates being offered a laughable starting rate, or younger candidates with too little experience to be offered the same starting rate. It's funny how manufacturing is on the rise, but in the same breath, stuck in this revolving door of too much too little experience. Side note, I've gained a new appreciation for blue collar jobs once I began recruiting for them. Have you seen some of these mechanical diagrammatic tests some factory applicants have to pass? Yikes, I think my head would explode if I had to take those. Dental lab technician. I make 80k, full benefits, retirement, 3 weeks vacation. Went to 1 year of school. Education is not required though. No one knows about this industry. Labs are fiercely competitive for talent. You can learn almost everything on the job. There are labs everywhere. Thank you for this. I'm going to look into it. Congress. Ain't that the dang truth? Watchmakers, clockmakers. The money is good and there are plenty of jobs out there. Plus you get to work with beautiful things all day. Harder than a degree but totally worth it. What got you into it, assuming this is your job? Tradesmen like carpenters and plumbers. You know how expensive they are now. HVAC. Trucking. For sure. I work at a logistics company, and there is definitely a shortage of drivers. Most of the drivers I encounter are in their 40s and 50s. Then again, with autonomous driving vehicles on the horizon, it could be the direction the market shifts. It's all supply and demand. OTR trucking is kind of a crappy job because you are always away from home and you have to sleep in the back of a cab most days. If it paid more, I'm sure the supply of truckers would increase substantially. I mean, the pay isn't bad, but it has kind of stagnated compared to inflation. Everyone's spouting off about how college is a sham and they could have made so much money being a plumber. If you go to college, put in some genuine effort and don't pick a dumbass degree, you're gonna be fine. You'll work a cushy job making solid money, and if your complaint is that you're gonna rot away at your desk, go to the gym, you ungrateful crap. People would kill to not be forced to put their body on the line every day. Also, if you actually look up earning statistics of plumbers and welders, it's not as high as everyone claims. The average salary of a plumber is 50k, not the 100k 150k every redditor and their grandpa is apparently making. It's hard work. Welding is hard work. Trades in general are hard work. All you people who claim that you'd rather do that than the help desk job you bummed your way into wouldn't make it a year. I've done help desk. I've done heavy welding. I've done auto mechanic work. And I'll take help desk all day. You have so much more energy at the end of the day to use to be productive. You can take classes, work out, teach yourself stuff. If you put in any amount of effort you can move into a better role. Redditors are lazy and more content to crap on people than to put in the work to improve their situation. Librarians. Business is still booming despite what some people may think. We are constantly evolving to stay relevant and give people what they need, but some librarians are not interested in that or can't keep up. Just wanted to add that you definitely need your masters to have a good chance of making it a career. There are tons of ALA accredited online programs, but of course they are ridiculously expensive. There is public service loan forgiveness which helped me make my decision to get my MLIS, though I don't have 100% faith in it. But I was lucky enough to find a full-time position a month after I graduated and I'm part of a very strong 77 library consortium with positions always opening up and plenty of ways to move up, so I feel secure. It definitely depends on your area too. I wish there weren't so many drawbacks. If it's something you're thinking about doing, I would say try to get a part-time library position if you've never had experience. While not necessary, it helps. And research the programs. And if it's truly a passion of yours, maybe look out of state to see how the situation is elsewhere. And there's lots of cool stuff you can do with your degree, even if you don't specialize. I'm a reference and technology librarian, so I do reference stuff. Look up books, movies, etc. Place requests. Purchase audiobooks, help with our databases, get people started on resumes, locate any info under the sun that people need, and lots more. The technology part, teach tech classes, whether it's helping someone with a new smartphone or basic internet skills, train staff, troubleshoot all our tech, purchase new software hardware, run our social media website, plus all the stuff in our makerspace like the 3D printer and sewing machine. I'm not just shelving books and pushing carts all day, but that's cool too. Patent law. A surprisingly large number of patent attorneys are baby boomers who graduated from engineering or pharmacy school during one of the recessions of the 1970s and went to law school because they couldn't find engineering pharmacy jobs, and some went to law school to avoid going to Vietnam. Cardiovascular perfusion. We're basically heart plumbers, and I'm sure 99% of you have never even heard of the profession if it weren't for perfusion. Cardiac surgery would be impossible. We work in cardiac surgery 90% of the time, and the other 10% we are in ICU taking care of our patients on ECMO, extracorporeal membrane oxygenation, and teaching patients with artificial hearts how to live with their devices. In the next decade we will lose a huge chunk of the workforce, which was trained on the job, and universities, my school offers a MSc degree, aren't pumping out punny enough graduates to compensate for the future. Lots of overtime in my future. Apply. We need more underrated superstars in Oz everywhere. Insurance. I'd recommend the commercial side rather than the personal line side, mostly due to automation concerns, but the industry has hired in age bands and thus people are retiring in age bands. I run into very few people in my age group, 25-35, and due to the huge generational gap we tend to stick together, even amongst competitors, and are one of the few industries that I feel doesn't eat our young. We grow them. Plus with climate change, the evolution of privacy laws, GDPR, etc., and the IAT, It's super interesting. You see things from a bird's eye view and get first-hand, real-time data on things you see just beginning to be reported in the media. Or I may just be a dork. Either or. Seamstresses, pattern makers and tailors. I have a union job sewing costumes for film. It's fun, pays well, and I get free health insurance and a pension. Teachers, but until education gets fixed, not gonna happen. Until education gets fixed, not gonna happen. I hope it must come to a head soon. Teachers, especially high school instructors and college adjuncts, are paid hilariously crappy wages when considering their impact on society. If all the teachers suddenly quit to become private tutors, earning about twice as much with no revenue share to a school board, crap would go down real fast. Certified Surgical Technologists, CST, and Certified Surgical First Assists, CSFA. I have yet to work in an operating room that wasn't in desperate need of them, and if you have experience in a subspecialty such as cardiac, neuro, spine or robotics, then you can essentially pick your price. Dental Laboratory Technician, specifically for dentures. My lab tech is 70 and when he's retired I won't be able to hire a replacement. For all those people recommending manufacturing jobs, you must not have been around remember the last recession. Once the next recession happens, manufacturing will take a huge hit and people will get laid off. The rebound will be slow and those who were laid off will have found new jobs more than likely unrelated to their old manufacturing job. And chances are that they won't bother going back to their old manufacturing jobs because of fears of being laid off again. And this is how employee shortages in the manufacturing industry happen. Join the rail. We had 2 dudes pass away of old age just last week. Mayo. Everyone I speak to is nearing retirement and has been at their job for 10-15 plus years. The pay is insane as well. Aviation. Pilots, dispatchers, air traffic control, mechanics and many more. If they'd make flight school anywhere near affordable, that wouldn't be nearly as big of an issue. But if you're like me and trying to make it work while working a regular job, good fricking luck. Radiologists, depending on location, can start in at 400-600k with 12 plus weeks vacation, though you need to complete 13 years post high school education. I had a dream that I finished school, studied medicine at uni for 6 years, graduated, studied a radiology specialty field, found a job, and woke up just before I got the paycheck. I'm sorry, I don't know the pathway to get into it. I have a master's in education and used to teach. I actually talked to a plumbing company today about possibly hiring on. Only downside is I'm disabled, so some of the work I might not be able to do. The higher ups are going to meet and chat. They're hiring across the board, so I might end up doing something for them like delivery etc. They said if they liked me they'd try to find a place for me. Spent 2 years teaching high school chemistry, now drive trucks for a living. I feel ya. Teacher of the blind and partially sighted, 2,000 and jobs, 20 equals plus university programs, graduate 200 a year. The need is 10 years of new graduates not counting normal attrition. Also special education teachers, hearing teachers, ESL teachers. What kind of schooling does that require beyond a credential? SQL developers. It's pretty easy to pick up the basics and go from there. Based on the conferences I've been to and my own workplace, the average age seems to be around 40, mostly men. Many software engineers pick it up as a side skill, but there are few who focus on directly, in my experience. I know some younger people go for data science, and that's needed, for sure, but the basics need to be covered, too. You can use this skill for positions like business analysts, report developers, data engineers and eventually ETL developers. Totally agree. Learning SQL took my career to another level. It's disturbing the amount of people I've seen export data out to Excel and praying it doesn't crash while they do analysis on massive amounts of rows. Nurses, but more specifically nursing educators at the college level. Universities don't pay as well as most hospitals, combined with that fact that in order to teach you need such high degrees, so it's been a growing issue for some time. There are more incentives these days such as loan forgiveness and such, but most people want the money in their pocket. Teaching is truly a labor of love for nursing educators. You have been visited by the wisdom pupper type. Study well pupper or you will fail your next text at school. Like and subscribe you magnificent person.